Hello.
Hi.
Is this thing working?
Yes, it is. I just wanted to.
I just wanted to, I wanted to see how long you could stay
Yeah.
quiet there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I understand.
Well, it's a good hook, right? Now people are interested. They're gonna stay here for like
Right.
at least another 10 seconds before they
So,
go
so
do
I,
anything
I
else.
tell you this, lyNAx. There's something people aren't interested anymore. It's fucking YOMI Hustle. All right. I've come here today. Grand master plan. I said it before the fucking podcast started. I'll tell it to you now. All right. This is how we reignite interest. YOMI Hustle. Right. All we need is $10,000. I'm saying if you're listening to this, you got a fucking cash app. You're gonna cash app full of Fetty $10,000. I might run away with it. This is the risk we run, right? I take this $10,000. I identify a family that is going onto Family Feud. Imagine weekday night, you look at Family Feud. Steve Harvey, he fucking bustles up to the podium. He takes his fucking notes out of his mustache. He says, "And I want things you can find on a table for for blah blah blah." Just and this guy fucking from a family jostles up to the platform and he slams the button before Steve Harvey's gaping, kind of sallowed eyes, and he says, "Yummy hustle protocol, Steve." And Steve Harvey goes, "Yummy what?" And this is on Twitter forever, and this happens forever. And this is how we're going to regain interest in Yomi Hustle. Because your grandmother's going to be watching Family Feud and she's going to say, "I wonder what that Yomi Hustle is." And then she's downloaded and now she's top 5 in the world, baby. And we got a fucking new fad in our hands. All right.
Perfect.
Second foolish. This is the second idea. Robo's combo routing, maybe a bit too long, maybe a bit too easy. I'm saying this. This is a new move. Ivy Sly, if you're listening to this, you better hear my fucking words. All right. He hits you with one attack. You then watch a 20-minute Oscar-nominated cutscene of just cancer, right? You get to watch cowboys struggling through therapy. You see Wizard kind of consulting his last will and testament, making sure everything's in order before his timely demise. And this goes on for 20 minutes. We get Ryan Reynolds in on this shit. We're gonna get Martin Scorsese on this shit. Jay Leno's gonna be acting as a character, right? And this wins an award, and then the cutscene's over after 20 minutes, and then you see that you're in the corner, and Robot has set up flame, and it is slightly less long and slightly less arduous than the original combo routing. And from that, I cede my time.
There we go. Perfect.
Wow, what an intro!
Yes, Foolish wanted to do that.
Welcome to PROTOCAST.
Welcome to PROTOCAST. This is the second one.
Welcome, everyone.
Well,
I'm lyNAx. This is my partner in crime, Eternum. We bring
Hello.
in retired players and we force them to revisit their past trauma.
is Zoe retired?
Uh,
I don't think so.
we're planning for the future here, okay?
This unstable might make him, but I don't think
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we're playing for the future here. And on that note, we have our most recent retiree, Melody Waka.
Hi,
Again.
I'm Melody Waka. Again, yeah.
Again. This time for real. Today, Mello doesn't know what we're doing. All that Mello knows is that we have installed itch.
This is like it's like spinning a wheel of what we're gonna do.
Right.
Like a different game every 5 patches.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I was like clicking random buttons in single player, and I just somehow managed to get a slider on Cowboy's walk back. I don't know how I did that.
Love this game.
Itch tech. Let's go.
Awesome.
So, on that note, it's time for us to reveal to our guest what our topic is for today, and that is history. We need to teach the youngins of this world, including myself and Eternum, a lot of the lost media and a lot of secret information from back in the day. And on that note, let's begin with Itch, which crashed the moment I changed scenes.
Awesome.
Awesome. We're gonna start on Itch, and we are going to slowly travel through time through more recent patches, And Mello, you're gonna walk us through the community, things that were happening at the time, and we're just gonna ask you some questions. We're gonna stop by important events, talk about them until we get to the modern day.
Got it. Oh, it's time to open Start GG to
It's
refresh
time to
my
open.
memory.
Yeah,
Imagine.
exactly. I did my research on this, so I like checked the dates on
Got
like I know some of the things that are happening. I've planned out like some things that I'm gonna ask you about, but
Good, because my memory sucks.
if there's like any event that you want to visit, we can absolutely do that. But on that note, let's start with January 2nd, 2023. The first Protocol Hustle is held, featuring names such as Vine, Octo, Turbo, Lily, Mallow, and Bozo.
I remember this. Didn't Octo win it?
Octo did win it.
Yes.
Got it.
Crypto is in fact the winner of the very first protocol, which
I
is really funny.
It's really funny. It's also funny that
For
he
some
won.
reason.
Like it would be funnier if that was the only one that he won. He got the first one and then never again, but he did win 4 of them over
Damn.
time. But yeah, so unless if you're interested, Mello, me and Eternum are gonna play out this game. We're gonna play
Imagine.
we're gonna play fucking Itch, and we're gonna
I'm gonna cook your ass.
it has my presets saved for rule set.
Oh no.
Really?
Yeah. That's so heat. Okay. So I'm gonna make a lobby. 3337 is the lobby.
3337 sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're on
In the meantime, stream this to Mello, obviously.
yeah, I got it. We are on New York servers, by the way, so you
Fucked
might
up? Okay,
you
I
might
joined.
you might get some ping.
It's a YOMI Hustle, man.
Yomi lagging.
I know. Anyway, we're going to use the Mello, if you don't mind, if you have the first protocol pulled up, can you read for us the rule set?
Oh, the rule set. Oh no.
I want
my
you to read
God.
the rule set because I saw it. It's funky. It's different than what we
It's-
have today.
I mean, it's more or less just like the default rule set with chess timer. It's 1,100 stage width. With if you brought that up these days, that would
Yeah.
be like hell. Like
Exactly.
like top players would start like convulsing on the ground, foaming from the mouth. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a
I need
terrible
you to
thought.
understand. That is twice the width we have right now in the competitive rule set, right?
Like, do you know how much 1,100 stage width with 3,600 round link sucks?
See?
Like, do you know how much that sucks?
Yeah, it's so ass. Okay.
This was
That's
with,
absolutely
I guess this was with like
Okay.
a cowboy auto
Just-
shooting gun.
Read it out so that I
Yeah.
can set this up.
All
Oh.
right, so it's stage width is at 1,100. Everything I don't say is just the same. Round length is at 3,600.
I want you to list everything that's written there. I feel like it's
Yeah.
very important, all of those.
I
Turn
can
clock
pick
is
it up.
20 minutes.
Okay.
Chess timer on, of course. On, yeah. Burst is enabled, of course. DI is enabled. Turbo mode is off. Infinite resources is off. One hit KO is off, and always perfect parry is off, and that's all it says.
Yep. They had to specify burst enabled and DI enabled.
This is really
Which,
funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of get it.
Okay.
This is the first ever protocol, right?
Yeah, you had to
Yeah.
make sure people didn't think we're playing on turbo mode, you know.
Yeah,
Just in
no, of
case.
course. Every time I click like the first move of the game, it just kind of like eats shit and dies for a
Mhm.
second.
Okay.
Wait, no, I forgot about this.
Here we are.
Wait, I forgot about
I like how one of like the worded rules at the bottom of the page is be respectful but expect the casual trash talk. This is how you know that this is how you know that Lily was still running protocol at the
So
time.
there's so much going on here, right? First, aimable L slice,
Yes,
right?
of course.
That's step first is aimable L slice. Second, lasso is not aimable. Actually,
Yeah, Lasso just goes. Yeah, Lasso just goes. I remember that.
lasso just has a straight angle. And it does not deviate from it. You
Oh
have
no.
neutral P. You have, as far as I remember, frames of invuln on dash.
Yeah. You have a one at the start of Dash. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Impale is free cancelable,
Yeah.
Oh
and
no.
gun throw throws the gun. There's no rope tied to it. There's no
Yeah,
lasso tied to it.
you have to
You
go and
throw
get
the
it
gun,
yourself. But to
and
be
then you
fair,
have to
TP is
go and
also
pick it up, which
TP
is
is
just
also free though.
so beautiful. DP is completely free. It's beautiful.
Oh,
Everything about this is just amazing.
Impale is frame 12.
Yeah, Impale is frame 12.
Impale
This
is
is
frame
everything
12.
about
That's
this is
really funny.
beautiful, dude.
This is horrifying.
Okay. Well, let's begin. Okay, it's 30-minute chess timer apparently.
Here's
So
30-minute
fine.
chess
I
timer.
know
I
you.
knew it.
I know you.
I knew it.
we,
gonna impale. I
we
was gonna
know.
impale.
Yeah, but I knew you. I knew you were gonna impale, and then I knew it was gonna be up slash for obvious reasons. No, sorry, reasons obvious to us. Oh, what's go? Oh my god.
Nothing. That's what.
I get up, Chuck. I get up, Chuck.
I
don't
set
think
the
so.
I set the
I
voice
got
you.
channel
do.
status to PROTOCAST do not
Is-
join. So
that-
someone random didn't
What
pop
the-
in.
It says you're
What?
ready on burst.
Oh?
Wait.
What? Huh?
Like, okay, if this has to be fake. I can
This has to
This
be,
is
right?
I can
Okay,
only
you're right.
assume. I went up, Chuck, but like,
Like it
if
has to
you
force
want-
you to
Yeah,
hold or
let's
something.
try it.
okay,
Okay,
good.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Good.
No, you're ready.
Okay.
You're
No,
forced.
yeah,
You
that's
can
what I
burst
thought.
and
That's what I
respond.
thought.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, you use burst and you
cancel
stay
it.
close.
Burst cancel
yeah.
on Union neutral.
Yeah. Oh my god. Aimable L slice. It
Aimable L
reaches,
slice,
reaches
baby.
It goes so
all
far.
the way to there.
Dude, that's
Oh
like
my-
a 5-pip L. That's like a 4-pip L slice. That's
And-
terrifying.
Oh. Is there sadness, Mellow? Enlighten me.
I mean,
Don't know.
what patch are you guys on?
Most recent itch.
0.13.
Oh,
0.13.
most recent. Okay, yeah. Then there's just sadness. Yeah.
Okay. So, let's, while we play, it's time to start asking, it's time for the hard-hitting journalism.
That we're known for,
Yeah.
obviously.
That
We're
we're-
known for.
That we're known for. Oh my god, Shuriken. Yeah, so walk us through like the early scene, right? Before there was Protocol, we had Back Alley Brawl.
Mhm. It's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to really like explain because I kind of popped in. Like all I
Right.
really did was play tournaments like for the longest time. Like I have 76 tournaments played, and probably like 95% of those are Yomi. And like I didn't like, but I'm pretty sure I played in all like I've definitely played in more than I've even hosted at this point. Because
76 is crazy.
I
By
mean,
the
'cause,
way.
yeah, we had like
believe that.
Hustle Mania. We had Friday. It was Friday Night Hustling at the
Yeah.
time. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We had,
Right.
yeah, but we had so many like at this time in Yomi, like people were excited for like the idea of a competitive scene. Like we had like 20 tournaments going on, and to be fair, all of
Right.
them were run by like the same 3 people.
Cheating.
Like it was like Vine, Tipu, and like Avon, and like Reclusive Robot. Like those 4 people were the only people running tournaments, but they were running like 7 of them.
I mean,
So like
that's
like,
definitely an
technically,
interesting time to be alive, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because there's like what you see a lot of is like early on, you'd see a lot of people. You see like Avon and like Vine making a bunch of tournaments, and those would get like a good amount of people. I mean, they could range from 20 to 70 people. Like there were some we actually got some good numbers on. And then you'd also have people that like get inspired. They'd make one tournament and then you realize, oh, TOing sucks on Start GG, and then they just never make one again. Like there's so many tournaments that just have like, oh, like Jester's Joust 1, and then it never comes back again after 4 years. Because they realized how much it sucked. That's probably why we only had like because everyone only used Start GG was like the only option at the time. Like nobody else really wanted to try anything else. There was not really any like competitive bots for tournaments or anything like we have now. So you just had
really getting on fucking challenge or some shit.
Yeah, and you just had like Vine and like Avon. They knew how to work Start GG, so they used Start GG. But they were also like the only ones in the community that knew how to work Start GG, so they were the only ones running tournaments. So to keep the scene alive, Vine ran like Hustle. He co-ran like 3 other tournaments, and Avon and Reclusive Robot ran like 5 different variety tournaments. But they were all for YOMI, So it was chaotic, despite it only being a couple people like creating the chaos. And I like to say that things evened out, like because I think Protocol kind of became a thing when the chaos of like 20 tournaments started dying down.
Right. Yeah.
Like I like it was basically almost right off the bat that like Protocol started. And this is around when like YOMI Arena was beginning to die down. Like this is when like Vine was like focusing on playing and labbing more than like tournaments and like game dev stuff and everything. So like when Protocol started, I would like to say that it more or less became like the main active tournament scene for the most part. I mean, like there were still things going on, especially for the first like 10 protocols. Like we still had back out. Like this is when like back alley brawl became a thing. This is when like training mode Tuesdays was still going. But like every other tournament that wasn't Protocol was pretty small.
Yeah, that makes sense to a degree though. Like this was at the time this was a very new scene that nobody really knew what to do with yet, right? Nobody really had any idea how anything was going to go. So it was just the process of, okay, what's gonna live, what's gonna die, as harsh as that sounds.
No, yeah.
Who's gonna
it's just natural.
Gonna come out as like the person who has the time or is willing to put in the effort, et cetera, to actually like do this.
No, yeah, right? It was natural because it was just Protocol and back alley brawl for a good amount of the start of the scene. Because that's like because we were basically the only 2 tournaments getting 20, 30 more people like consistently. But at one point, it like things died off, and we almost expected that because this is after kind of Lily kind of disappeared. And at one point, I was the only person like basically running the scene for like the longest time. Like I was like the only person that was actually like putting work into the scene, and Scrotum had of course, because at that point it was me and him, and we were just. we were just doing our best to figure it out. Like he was running a tournament on like Oceanic flag on like Osh time, or like I was running tournaments on NA time. And, like that's how we were keeping it alive. And every time we talk about like, oh, like I really hope people start making tournaments, and then nobody did, and Protocol just kept going. like we had Bozo's hustle party. That was like the only other going on.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like modded stuff came in, but that's like it's not really like a sad thing, but it's like the early like tournament scene for YOMI wasn't really exciting per se. It was just a big like scatter of like let's put out as many events as we can to get people. Because like at that point, like the community is small. The more events we put out, the more we're allowed to shove it into the main server and hope people, bite at it.
Join, yeah. Hope people buy in, get more people into the community.
I wish it would have gone differently. Out of like, so we didn't just have like 2 people running 30 tournaments, but I mean, it did like segue into like Protocol and everything. So I guess it worked in the end.
It all ended up working out, I guess.
Yeah, we had a good mixture of people. Like at one point, Protocol was getting like over 100 people, like especially like leading towards like Olympus and everything. But we definitely we definitely had a following before that, which was nice.
And even the first Protocol was like 40 people, which is a very like a very good amount.
Yeah,
Very-
first,
a healthy
yeah,
amount.
debut hype is always has always been pretty good. No matter no matter if you're a known figure in the community making a tournament or you're not, you put up a tournament, you put it in the self promo or in the main server. There's a good chance that even especially if you're doing something unique with like the rule set or something,
Yeah,
there's
it's gonna
gonna be
work
like
out.
40 people joining, and maybe you only get 10 people for the rest of your tournaments, but like for the first one, there was always hype.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
It was always exciting. I mean, that's why I liked early YOMI competitive scene. Like people were excited to make tournaments. Like even if they only expected to do like a one-off and just try it out, like people were excited and people were excited to play. And that's pretty impressive. Like just like showing how like because like judging by how like chaotic like the game balance was at the time, you know, and the game was still like barely out of beta and everything. But like people still wanted to try making it competitive, and I think they succeeded at one point.
At one point, one day, it worked out.
It took a while, but we did make it there after like Protocol 25.
Again, that's more than understandable, no?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, like if you think about it, like Olympus,
it takes a while. This takes effort and time that not everyone has it. You know.
Yeah, no,
the ability or the effort
or
to
the
give,
time.
so to speak. Yeah.
I
mean, we all know, we've been through it. We all know how much time it takes to be a part of this community in general, right?
It's like time is such a huge thing with like especially early YOMI, because one of the big like there's a lot of reasons we chose to change the rule set, but one of the reasons is that tournaments would take so long. And like you gotta realize like people were busy with like especially like we were younger back then. A lot of people that like did tournaments were like in school and stuff. It's like we didn't have as much time. Yeah, we weren't grown adults, you know. But
a lot
at
of
the
them
time,
still
like
are.
Yeah, a lot of them still are. But at the time, none of us had time, and we had school and like everything, and the rule set was so long, and we didn't do 2-day tournaments. We just stuff it all into one day.
Yeah.
And this is like stuffing. This is stuffing like
really.
This is stuffing like 40-person tournaments, like with matches that would take like an hour, you know, because of like the 3600 rule set and everything. And like matches would take forever, and we'd be doing, you know, all of pools, all of top 8, all in one day. We didn't, and like moderation, it was just like me and Hat moderating it. So if there was problems, like it was slow to get those fixed. And there was people that, and because the scene was new, a lot of people didn't know how to use Start GG. There was a lot of new players, so they didn't know what they were doing. Like it sucked.
No
like,
one had an idea what was going on.
Like TOing at like early days, unless you had like a lot of passion for the game, which we did. Like I did, like Hat did, Vine did, Avon did. We had passion like for TOing the game, but if you didn't have passion, like it was the worst experience ever having to deal with that. It felt like you were running like a 5-star restaurant by yourself. It was bad. Or it was tired. I wouldn't say bad, but it was tiring. It was exhausting.
Yeah, it's hard.
And that's
definitely something else.
I actually think that the TOs of the time did have a big say in the rule set changes. We wanted to make the game more fun to play. We wanted to make it more fun to watch when we eventually started streaming. We talked about that a lot early on. We wanted this game to be streamed on Twitch. Like we wanted to make it the most spectator friendly as we could.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Royce came into the scene, because Royce had a lot of good opinions on like lowering, like making the rule set more exciting, but still keeping like the concept of the game without like changing it completely. And like same with like Turbo and everything. Like it evolved over time into something that YOMI is still like a very acquired taste, like spectator wise, but I'd say it's a lot better than it was like in like the early protocols and everything. Like nowadays, I think, at least in my opinion, I think YOMI is pretty exciting to watch. Like I think, like after all these rule set changes,
it has definitely changed over time.
Yeah,
no, it's fast.
What YOMI is right now is miles and bounds different from what it was back then, right? Which is perfectly reasonable. Of course, the game itself has changed. Other things about it have changed. Everything is different now. It's the scene, the tournaments. Have you ever thought about the fact that, like, did you ever expect Protocol to become what it is now?
Oh no, not at all.
Was that even like a in your head?
No, I remember Lily just DM'd me one time. We hadn't been friends for that long, but like we were like Lily was
Right.
probably one of my closest friends like at the time in the Yomi community, even if we didn't talk like that much. But I remember she just came to me one day and she was like, "Hey, I'm trying to start a tournament. You wanna?" Like I have like
You
I
want in?
remember joining the server and it was me, Lily, and Kafsa just alone in the server. Like it was just us three and like we were making the channels and everything and like it was just
Yeah.
like and in my head I'm like, okay, I thought like there would be some kind of like marketing or self-promo, but no, it's literally we're starting from like complete scratch. And like I had like thought about like TOing and I think I had actually TO'd like a couple like super tiny tournaments before that. But
Right.
like Protocol was the first idea from Lily that like she had big plans. Like the plans early on, like that she was like throwing out as like concepts to me at the time, like they were like if you threw out those plans these days in Protocol in like a manager chat, we'd be like, oh cool, we can do
Mhm.
that. But back then, when it was just like three
Back
people,
then, it's a whole different story,
yeah,
right?
it was
Yeah.
like we were like we were already talking about like whole like league plays and everything, and like we were talking about like huge tournament sets and like how we were gonna do like there's certain brackets and everything, and I'm like, man, there's three of us here. Like I don't even know if we're gonna get more than
Yeah,
10
this
people to join. Like,
is
so like I won't sugarcoat it. Like I genuinely like I wouldn't say skeptical, but I definitely didn't think that like I thought at the time that like it would be a very slow climb, and it was. Like the
right.
biggest tournament
You
at
thought it
that
was
point
gonna
was like
die out soon enough.
yeah, like we at the time we had like Hustle Mania. Like this was when like the tournaments that were big were starting to die out. Like the scene
Mhm.
was like the scene had hit a dead spot, and then if anything in my mind, it was like, oh, Protocol is kind of being made at like a bad time because like the scene is kind of
Right.
just dead right now, or like is like actively
There's nothing
dying.
happening, right?
So it's like we have all these huge plans, but like we don't have the audience to really do it. And
Mhm.
but
I see.
it's like but at the time I was really into Yomi at the time. Like I was super excited. Like I think like when Protocol was being made, that was really when I was beginning to get my flow with like a play style. I felt like I was more consistent.
Right.
Like I
The
liked
game
playing the
started
game
making
as
sense, so
much
to speak.
as yeah, the game started making sense, and I was excited to play the game. Like when I thought about it. So at the time, like even
Uh-huh.
though like the idea of a big tournament was far fetched, I was like full in. I was like, even if I was a little bit skeptical, I
You were
was like
all in,
full
yeah.
in on the idea. Like I was like I took all of Lily's ideas basically, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm excited for this. I like this game. We're gonna try it anyway, even if it like crashes and burns. We're gonna like try it. And
Even if it
but
doesn't work
then
out, it's worth a shot, right?
and this is kind of where like the middle like the new gen players kind of like pick up from the story. Like they know like Lily kind of just disappeared at one point, and
Yeah.
and Protocol kind of like died for a little bit, and then I came back and I was like, you know what? I still like the game. I'm just gonna like
We're gonna keep
drag
doing it.
Protocol with me. I'm gonna drag it with me.
Yeah.
So I just randomly DM'd Hat one day. I was like, bro, Lily's gone. Help, please.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do. I
Yeah.
can't do this, man. And then he said yes, and Protocol started basically. Like it.
Here we are, yeah.
It,
On the note of like starting to organize something big, I think it's time for us to wrap this up. This patch. I will say Eternum, Izuna combos
Yeah.
this patch, so
Did it actually? No, it comboed it at all, right?
you could Azuna into Azuna at one point.
Yeah.
That
I think
What?
I don't know.
Yes.
I
Wasn't it
I know
a-
that was possible.
at wall?
I think you could have done like Izuna last turn. Like, straight up.
there was a time you didn't need the wall or anything.
What in the
You could
fuck?
literally you could Azuna TP and then Azuna again.
Yeah.
No, that's fucked.
No,
It's
like,
no,
like,
that's
it was
fucked.
messed
there's
up. It was so messed
one
up.
of Alucard's earliest videos is like a straight up 0 to death by doing Izuna into Azuna into Azuna.
No, I genuinely remember.
Oh.
I was shown Yomi by a good friend of mine at the time, and the first thing that he showed me was Azuna loops, and that's what I hate to think about it, but the thing that got me into Yomi, like interested in Yomi in like the Ichio period, was my friend at the time showing me Azuna loops.
Yeah.
Like it was
That's
just
awesome.
it just looked
That's
it just
awesome.
looked
Honestly,
really
that's
it just
fucking
looked
awesome.
really funny, and like I was like this looks sick.
lyNAx,
that was
did
it.
we DC?
I left.
Or do you just...
I'm gone.
You're just a
Because
coward, I guess.
I
Mid combo too. What a
mid-
bitch. What a little bitch.
Wow. Okay. No. Okay. If you want to be like, and you're
That's
not,
my
you're
favorite
not
death.
you're not even gonna thank me for like staying in the game until you hit the T3C, because I could have ended this like conversation.
Yeah, and I would have
before
told
that.
you even more of a bitch. Also, why were T3Cs so easy to hit? Why do you have 41
Really easy.
frames off of V-Star?
You had so much. You
Anyway.
could miss one and just hit it again.
Anyway, that was Itch, right? That was Itch, and that was like generally Steam release. I think we skip 1.0.0 and we move on to 1.3.9, which Mello, do you know what this patch is?
What was the patch again?
1.3.9.
3.9?
I remember it being talked about. Was it Robot Edition or something?
Robot Edition was Steam release.
Oh, Steam release. Oh yeah, that's right. I don't remember 1.3.
Yeah. Well, that one is important because that's when the Protocol Invitational, the first one, took place.
Oh.
So
the first one that actually took place.
The one that didn't happen. So on that note, I want you to talk about that, because a lot of that is like lost knowledge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of that is lost knowledge.
Lost media, right?
Lost media.
I'm never gonna live that down. Like
So
I remember.
So walk us through like the prep and what happened there while we hop into 1.3.9. Do you two want to play that patch?
1.3.9.
Do you?
You guys can play it if you want.
Alright.
I'm like just thinking like about words. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Wondering.
So like it's like I talked about earlier when Protocol first started with Lily. We had a lot of plans for things like tournaments and invitationals. We with the idea of like a last chance qualifier and like qualifiers. Like we had those in our heads. Protocol Invitational,
right?
Yeah.
I think it is worth mentioning. Like, I don't think people know this. People don't actually, like, it's been mentioned before, it's been talked about before, but most people aren't actually aware that Lily is the person who started this tournament.
Yeah, that created Protocol.
That made Protocol.
Because,
which is really funny.
When she disappeared the first time, we weren't that big. There wasn't like if I disappeared, like say like in Protocol, like 40 people would notice because we had a big following. But at the time, it's like she disappeared kind of like really early on. There's probably only like 10, 15 people playing in the tournaments at that time, like consistently at least. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Like a lot of people, I remember, I think Lily brought it up in general once, and like people thought she was joking. I was like laughing to myself. It was funny.
It just wasn't that deep back then.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Wait, 1.3.9 is warp stance.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It is.
I forgot.
1.3.9 is where Rift and Shift become free, I believe.
No, yeah, but
I made a Steam lobby, by the way.
But yeah, like Protocol Invitational was basically everything that Lily and I talked about, like at the start, like before Protocol, before we even did like our first tournament, Protocol Invitational. I basically took all of those ideas that we talked about, I polished them up a little bit. I was like, okay, we're like me and At, like I don't even remember if it was me and At. I don't remember if, like we added more people at the time, but all I know is that like the small team we had, I told them all in manager chat. I was like, guys, we're gonna do an invitational.
Like we're gonna
try. Like we have enough people. Like we're gonna try. We're gonna. I'll be honest with you. I don't even remember if there was like an actual prize pool. I think it was just coming out of my own pocket at that point. Like we didn't talk to Ivy or anything. We didn't talk to Main Serve or anything. We just wanted to do an invitational.
It's hard to like get the ball rolling, no?
Yeah, we wanted to get the ball rolling, and we did. We like to qualify. We did qualifiers. We were like collaborating with Vine's like Hustle Heat and everything. Actually, I think it was coming from Vine. No, it was a lot of the prize money was coming from Vine. That's what it was. Because Vine was like the main like head of like he was the person that like he would go to if you wanted to like plan something big. And Protocol Invitational like was that big thing that we wanted to plan to like get Protocol off the ground.
Right.
But I don't really remember like for sure what happened. All I know is that like everything went through. I think we finished all the qualifiers, and from that point on, like we had the list of people we needed. Like we made like everyone that qualified was there, and like we had everything set up, everything was ready, and then it just stopped. Like I wish I had a better explanation of why it just stopped, but it stopped. I remember I think after the qualifiers, I think like a lot of people, I think like me, Vine, and like a couple other people just I think took a break. I know Hat was really busy at the time with like school and everything.
Right.
Like everyone, it felt like everyone just kind of got hit by this wave of either exhaustion or just busyness, like right after the last qualifier, and it just never recovered. Like the protocol went on basically like a hiatus at that point. I don't think we did tournaments for like a good couple weeks. After being like pretty consistent before that, but like after that last qualifier, we got busy. We could like none of us had time to really do anything. We didn't have time to stream. We didn't have time to like TL and put together anything. And when we came back from the hiatus, we just went back to doing normal protocols. Like it's as if it didn't happen. Like all the like I've like all the trailers that like I ended up making for like the invitational and everything, like all that like new stuff and like hype building I did, like I ended up unlisting on YouTube because like everyone. It's actually one of those things I regret is at the time, if there's anything about me that I improved on over time when it came to TOing, I became a lot better at communicating at one point, but at the time I sucked at it. Like that we had planned all this invitational stuff and it just didn't end up working out, and I could have just like put announcements like, oh, everyone's really busy, we're gonna reschedule, but instead I was like, I don't know what to do, so I just unlisted the videos and went dark for a little bit. Like, it was really sad. It was like looking back on it, and probably like Protocol Invitational, like the one that didn't is probably one of my biggest regrets, like as a TO ever. Like, because it was exciting. Like I wanted that to happen so bad, but like life got in the way, and we were a lot less experienced in like dealing with those kinds of issues. Like it helped a lot that like nowadays the team is so much bigger. Like you have people you can rely on if one person couldn't be there. Because at the time, if me or Vine wasn't there, like me, Vine, or Hat wasn't there, it wasn't happening. Like if any of us weren't there, that was like a big part of it.
That's the issue with like a smaller scene is you don't really like you can't expect everyone to have the same amount of dedication as you do towards something like this, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, yeah, what ends up happening is you're kind of forced to either do things yourself, just straight up on your own, or that's kind of it, because you can't really feasibly find people who are willing to do this and who are dedicated enough to this, right?
And what made it even harder is like this is kind of like a double-edged sword. Like YOMI has always had such a big like variety of people in different locations, different time zones, and that's really cool. Like this scene has like a huge like Brazilian scene. That's always something I've noticed. Like there's a lot of Australian players that play YOMI, but what comes with that, especially to like the detriment of the competitive scene, is that it's so hard to plan things. I think everyone knows like the basic like scheduling war that happened between like OS and like EU, especially those two just could not agree on like tournament times.
Yeah.
If one was playing, it was like 3 a.m. for the other one. So like
you know what? It's not surprising, really.
It's not surprising, but it sucks. Like Like, you gotta realize, like, if you put together like the three big names at one point, especially when Protocol was growing, it was me, Vine, and Hat, and that was NA, Brazilian time, and Australian time. And trying to plan things around those 3 time zones sucks.
Like, sucks, yeah, because you're taking like that's just terrible.
Because nowadays we have a lot of people in different time zones, especially like once the team grew and like in the later protocols, we had like 3 people in EU, we had like 4 people in NA, we had like 2 Australian people. Like it was, we had people we could rely on if the other people couldn't show up. But back then we didn't have that. We didn't have enough people interested in the scene. We didn't have enough volunteers. You know, like if we wanted, like the biggest part of like streaming at the beginning is that we didn't have enough people that wanted to or could do it at the time.
Yeah.
Like it was basically me, Vine, and like sometimes Turbo. And like nowadays, like Turbo's basically like the content king of YOMI these days.
That's what he's become, right?
But back then, you know, it was harder. Like we didn't have as many names, we didn't have as many big names that were able to do that were willing to do that. We didn't, like, not as many people had the passion to like see the scene grow until things like Protocol got larger, or like Olympus, especially Olympus came through. Like Olympus was the biggest turning point.
That was a very big part, I think. That was a very big moment for the young community, like the competitive community in general. Despite everything that happened during it, despite like the way it affected the players, I think after Olympus, this has been an entirely different game, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, competitively, like, the Protocol server went from, like, 200 people to, like, 1.300.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about.
Which is insane. That was across the qualifiers. But also, the thing with Olympus is, like, Olympus, I know this is gonna sound, like, kind of cheesy, but, like, Olympus gave YOMI its first kind of storyline.
Yeah.
I feel like I think a thing that people don't understand about the competitive scene of like a growing indie game is that like the competitive scene of an indie game or like a small game with a small community, it feels like it has so much more life when everyone comes together to put in effort and the game gets some kind of story. Like especially with like Alucard and like Royce and Olympus, like that entire storyline of like, you know, like kind of like passing on the torch to Royce and everything, you know, kind of thing.
Awesome.
It was awesome. Like everyone was there for it, even people that weren't really competitive. Exactly. Like they were there to watch it because it was interesting. It was cool to watch, even if you didn't like watching YOMI as like a spectator sport. Like just seeing these people like put their heart and soul into this stupid stickman
little stickman fighting game.
It was so cool. And like I talked to Vine about this especially a lot. We gushed over this a lot, but like this was like our dream. Like we never expected to make it this far. Like it felt so good to like see like these stories forming. We saw rivalries forming. There was even a little bit of drama, you know. Like it felt like, for better or for worse, we felt like an actual competitive scene at one point.
Yeah, and I didn't like the thing for me is that's around the time where I started playing. That's around the time where lyNAx started playing. This was the genesis for a lot of players like us, right?
Yeah.
Where
we're fast forwarding a little bit, by the way. We were gonna play 1.8.23.
we can still later because there's still a lot to discuss.
Yeah.
But there's just something really beautiful about how this game turned out and how everything like worked out for the community and us and the game itself, where I don't really know how to describe it even.
No,
that was the first time that YOMI had character to us.
Yeah.
That was the first time that YOMI had, like, as you said, storylines. Had people that you could tell were dedicated to this. Were willing to, like, put in real life hours and time.
You had people you could root for, especially.
Yeah. It was a real ass competitive scene, and that's something that the people nowadays, especially us TOing nowadays, take for granted a little bit, right? We're so used to having a real competitive scene, a scene that makes sense, that is dedicated to like what it wants to do, that we just expect that, right?
Yeah,
We
we
expect
it's
people to play the game. We expect people to enjoy playing the game. We expect people to have fun and like want to play competitively.
I mean, you have like your superstar players these days in like the modern day Yomi, but like I don't. There's so many people
It's
that like I feel
different.
bad for. There's so many people, especially like when we first started streaming, that I feel bad for. Of like, I don't think there's so many people that don't like new gen players that don't understand the hype of like watching Alucard play or
Yeah,
watching Vine play or watching like all these top players that were like we're not talking just like consistent like oh like Magic Jacket or like Oreo or like Oed or something. Like these were people that people would tune in the stream just to watch. Like
yeah.
there was like these people had like fan bases, like basically like
Especially with
Alucard was
Eloy
like the
when you think
faker of
about it, right?
Yomi at one point. Like it was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
To this day he is, right? Like despite being retired, to this day people talk about Elucard in this community the same way they used to talk about fucking the same way that people talk about Faker,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Crazy.
He was people like genuinely like for such a small scene, like he was people's idol. He's the reason a lot of people got into competitive play, and that was so cool. Like that, like people we talk about Ellicott not just because he's like
Awesome, right?
good at the game, but because he was such a huge part of why the game got so popular, especially the competitive side. Like people had someone to follow to like and like be motivated to be as good as. And
Yeah,
nowadays like
exactly.
people are really good. People like there's people that say they were inspired by Alucard and like Vine and stuff that still play to this day and are top players now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
You have
and I
people
think
who
I
are
think
taught
that's
by them,
really
or you have people who have like like watched them play, who have modeled themselves after them. This is very common for Elucard. We've seen multiple players who like start playing this game competitively and model themselves after Elucard's playstyle after watching his video, which is like
and
crazy to think about, right?
and I feel like that's like such a huge part of like the process of like the scene becoming so good and so strong is that like people would
Yeah.
start off of like Royce and like Vine and Alucard off of like those character kind of ideas they would like imitate and mimic and kind of like be inspired by them. But as they got better at the game, they would start forming their own play styles. Like there would still be some Alucard, there'd still be some Royce and their wizards and their cowboys and their ninjas. But once they
Mhm.
got good enough at the game, all of a sudden they had their own play style, and that's how you have like the like kind of the middle gen of like like me, you, lyNAx, and everything, like the people that kind of before new gen but after the old gen kind of thing, like
Yeah, yeah,
especially
yeah.
when we peaked, where like at one point we had our own play styles, and now we have people that are probably going to start like playing like the people that were in the middle gen. It's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's less of a handing off of a torch, but it's just like it's so interesting, especially as a TO, where you get to kind of like watch this all like as like it's kind of feels
Yeah.
like
See this
watching
happen,
it
see this
like
thing
looking
develop,
over
right?
like one of those tables of like the 3D like diorama like maps. You kind of get to
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
everything move, and
Yeah.
you get to see in real time like things evolve. You get to see people getting better, getting worse. You get to see people retiring. You get to see new players up and coming. Like one of my biggest things is like as a TO when I was like not even just starting out, but just like across the entire time, is I loved calling out like new players that I thought were gonna have a lot of potential. I
Mhm.
remember I did this with No Buy. Of like
You
I
did this
like
with me too.
no Trace and you were like the three big ones that like I saw you guys play in like pubs, or like I played against you in a pub for the first time, and I was like, no, this guy's gonna be good. This guy like if this guy like goes into tournaments, like they're gonna be really good at the game, and like
Like I
and
vividly remember you doing this with me, right?
I am so
Which is
disappointed
really
that
funny.
you didn't remember you did this to me too.
did I do it to you?
Yes.
I don't know, man. I'm a talent scouter. I think
Yeah.
there's so many players that
No,
like, I played against, and I was like, nah, this person is
And-
if they put their mind to it, they got it.
And that's
Like,
like,
they will be
very
good.
real because you can like definitely see talent in people in this game.
Especially when you get to watch it from the angle that you do as a TO.
Yeah.
Like as stressful and exhausting as it can be, if you really like Yomi, you gotta try TOing. At least it doesn't mean you have to cast. You don't have to be. It could just be a one-off tournament. Like you could,
Yeah.
but like I think TOing in a game that like this that like has such a tight knit community. If you have the passion and you have like the motivation and the time to at least try it, like seeing the game from that angle feels so good. Like like
Such a
especially
different
if it
experience,
goes
right?
especially if it goes well. Like I guarantee that if your TOing goes well, you will love the game even more after.
No,
Like
absolutely.
It's just such a cool experience.
Honestly, that's like what happened to me. It's not like I had any period of time where I didn't like the game or didn't love the game for that matter. But after I started TOing, there was like a newfound appreciation for the scene in general and how everything works, how
Yeah.
what it means, right? To be a part of the competitive, like to be a part of this community in general, what it means to organize these events and what it means to people to play in these events, right?
Yeah. And like
It's funny to me that you say that when like I believe both of our first TO was bad things.
Was
kind
it?
of
I think so.
Yeah.
I would like to think that Eternum was like a shadow mod in Protocol for a bit.
Yeah.
Because I ran a lot of things through Eternum at one
Yeah,
point.
we just talk about shit.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it was because like you probably had like the most passion for the game that I like approached people that like I knew at the time. And I was like, kind of feels good because like this is around the time when a lot of people were quitting Yomi after like Olympus especially, and everyone was kind of like, oh, I don't know about this. And then it was kind of nice to see like some people that were still like really confident that they wanted to improve, that they wanted to see the game get bigger. It's like because they're And when the scene was kind of dying down and kind of going on like a short hiatus of like tournaments and everything, it was nice to see that there were still some people that had that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who came from that time, right? Like 99% of the top players now, excepting Hunter underscore, who just will never die, refuses to really categorically.
He always says he's going to, and then he comes back and wins.
Yeah, he says he's gonna retire, and then he comes back because the tournament has a $450 prize pool or some shit.
Yeah.
And then he's back to square one. But well, my point was that every single one of these people. Also, lyNAx, you enjoying this combo?
Yeah, I am. It's fine. It's gut scaling.
It's fine. But yeah, like the idea is that so many people are from that time, right? Like me and lyNAx and Oet and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have so many names that you can name.
It's like
we're
like
all
the
people
the
who
main
started
three
playing around then.
The main three that like showed up during that time and like you said like grinded were me, Eternum, Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mario.
Right, like,
Mario was a big part of like after the like during Mutant release, Mutant Unstable.
Mario basically pioneered an entire group of mains. So like,
yeah. Genuinely, right? Which is hilarious to think of that.
And
it's hilarious to think about.
Like beyond that, the numbers that at least me and Eternum were putting up. Like I was playing Yomi like a fucking full-time job.
No, yeah, no, 100%. Especially after like everything, like it was, or like after like Lisa.
Like I played,
it was huge.
I played like 8 hours a day.
Unrelated note: where in the flying fuck is my gun? Oh, there it is.
Bro has to find it.
No, yeah.
Teleport over.
Yeah.
It's such a funny part of old gun threat.
Old Loic. Old Loic.
Old Loic. Oh fuck.
Old Loic.
No, not Old Loic. No.
Yes. No. It does something.
Actually,
horrors, no. Dude, no, actually, this one is slow. You can just TP out of it. It's
I hated Old Loic so much, dude. I hated it so much.
So
I could go on so many rants about my like half rivalry with Zeta, especially with like old robot. This is especially the passages where robot would be so reliant on bomb. Like you put out bomb and you would hit cancel off it like 20 times. That was your approach.
Yeah.
you would, and Zeta like was one. Zeta did that with no shame. Like bro did not care. Bro, when bro was in tournament, he would put out bomb and he would lame you out.
Like
so
I
hard.
don't blame him, frankly speaking. Because if you're gonna win, you might as well do everything it takes. But Jesus, dude,
Like overall,
Although,
I had a pretty even to like maybe a little bit in his favor record against Zeta, but every single game I played against Zeta was so. I remember both Zeta and I refused to play against each other in like the ranked bot because I remember I asked him like why I think or like I challenged him one time in a lobby and he was like, no, I only want to play you in tournament. It's too stressful. Like he was like he just straight up told me like, okay, like I'm only playing you in tournament. Like
I'm not doing
we're not
this.
doing we're not doing this in normal game. Like this is because every time we played, like it was just bomb spam and bullet spam. That's all it was for the entire game.
Which, I mean, to be entirely fair, that's what the game was.
Yeah, that's
right?
what the game was.
And like tragic dash was still a thing and everything. Like it sucked. It was just tragic dash and bomb spam. That's all it and like bomb crash spam.
Awesome.
Why is this real?
Fuck you, that's why.
Why is this real? You can punish this.
Fuck you, that's why.
Do you guys actually have any like big like inspirations when it comes to like top players? Is there anyone that like stands out that like you either watched, you played against that like you liked that kept it could be kept you playing, it could be maybe they changed your play style, maybe you had like some kind of like light bulb moment
I have
or something.
I have a really good story which I feel like not enough people know.
No, I want to hear it. I want to hear this one.
Oh my god, this is still real.
No, the issue is you have fucking shockwave.
Yeah, well I do,
I kill myself.
And magnetize actually. and
magnetize. I kill myself.
Anyway, my story begins with after this neutral we're gonna switch to Olympus because I feel like this story is a good place to pivot to that. I'm gonna do my story of how I got in, and then Eternum is gonna do his.
Okay.
So, the thing about Olympus was I got the game, right? Let's start with this. There are a couple of important people in my Yomi career, right? The first plot point is Alpha.
Yeah, no.
Alpharad, that's right.
Okay. He didn't get me into the game, but I say Alpharad, it's not entirely true, but it's more.
It was fucking Joe.
He
wasn't even in the video.
Yeah, no, it was Joe. It was more so. It wasn't like Alpharad's video. It was more so the fact Alpharad is more so.
It was an Alpharad Gold video, right?
Yeah, it was an Alpharad Gold video, but it was a microcosm for I'm starting to see this game in my YouTube feed, right?
Yeah.
Like I see it and like I see the Alpharad video and I'm like, I've seen this before. It's that turn-based Smash game, and right, like the thought process was it's cool. But it didn't occur to me that this is a game that I can play, right? So fast forward to a specific YouTube video about a specific clanker.
Oh no!
Yeah.
So Jade Plebism, Bocce the Rock posts a video to YouTube, winning protocol on robot. Right.
To prove a point. And I watch it, and that's like the thing that's like these replays are cool. I've seen this game a couple of times, and that's where the genius idea pops into my head. I can play this. So I start playing it. And coincidentally, the day after I get the game is Olympus Qualifier 1 Grand Finals. So I tune in for that and I watch Isaiah, now Lisa. I watch Lisa beat Octo. Right? So that was like my speed run.
That game.
That was my speed run into getting into Yomi. I don't remember it because
I remember watching the game.
That was so early that I didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, you just thought it looked cool, you know.
Yeah.
It was like
right, like I'm there, everyone's hype, the robot main won, all is good. So I play Olympus Qualifier 2, and that was single elim, like for the first 2 rounds, and I won my first round, which means I have never gone 0-2 in a tournament to this day. Eternum hasn't either, I believe.
I don't think so.
He prides himself on that. So
Not in protocol.
I lost to Wex, which was like I lost to a protocol mod. So I'm like, you know what? I probably wasn't winning that. Olympus Qualifier 3, we meet the second important figure in my development. And they're not an important figure because they did anything, and in fact they didn't impact me much at all. This is just hilarious. I beat Delta.
Oh.
on like fucking, I don't know, 30-40 hours.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is fucking hilarious on Robot, nonetheless. I'm sure he had a great time.
He had so much fun.
And I finished 13th there, right? In my second ever YOMI tournament, in like 300 entrants, I finished 13 on like no hours. And I'm like, this game is fun and I'm pretty good, right? And then we run Qualifier 4 and I get 9th. And like, I have just gotten the game and I've almost qualified for the biggest tournament in the history of the game. And Qualifier 4 is the
awesome,
right? Qualifier 4,
well, okay.
I play the like that. No, that's the one where
the least real one. To be fair,
I'm saying that's the one that like that's the one that guarantees that I become a top player in the future, right?
Yeah.
And not just because I placed well, right? Like I would have kept playing, but that is where I met Whimsnum, right?
Whimsnum, yeah.
So at that point, I don't know any of the good players. I don't know like the history, right? But I know
you just know Whimsnum is like...
I know Whimsnum and Lisa qualified through Qualifier 1, and they're up there as the best robot brains.
You know that they're decent and good.
Yeah, Whimsnum watches my game against Suffer Sadness, and even though I lost, pulls up to me in Discord and says, "You have potential."
You have potential.
You have, but go my battle. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Not exactly that, but like, right, like literally to that extent. Like he genuinely went out of his way to say, your neutral is really good for someone that has 75 hours in the game. Like that's exactly how much I had. And you have potential and you could get good at the game. And that's where I decide I'm going to get good at the game. Wims tells me I need to improve my combo game. Have you, Eternum, you've seen the schizophrenic writings. I have pages and pages of real fucking paper of me drawing arrows and labbing routes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
like a fucking schizophrenic. I'm on my laptop in class labbing fucking robot routing on 1.8.23. Right, this is routing that becomes obsolete literally like 2 weeks after I make it because robot gets mega nerfed, and that's the funniest part. But that is what got me into the game. It's like, look, it's one that I was good at it, and 2 that I had like support from an established player, and 3 just like putting in the effort. Like I was playing so much YOMI, like an absurd amount. Like I said, like literally 8 hours a day, 7 days a week,
which is crazy, dude.
That's so much YOMI.
But like that's the fast track to getting good, right? Like I literally
I've been there, done that. It wasn't
Time and did it like no, like I had that moment, lyNAx had a moment, Eternum had that moment. Like we all had a moment in our life where we were like so dedicated to getting better that we would spend like an unfathomable amount of hours like labbing and just
the
playing
thing is,
like
right?
playing games.
Yeah.
It's really funny to me listening to lyNAx retell his story because we are such opposites going in parallel. Because
Yeah.
I started playing the game at the exact same time. I watched that Alpharad Gold video and I checked it out and I was like, oh, this game looks really cool. And I've always been a huge fan of fighting games. I really enjoyed the idea. And I was like, I was seeing it and I was like, I could see that I could figure this game out, right?
Mhm.
I could understand what was going on screen and it wasn't like confusing to me. I understood what frame advantage means. I understood what DI was, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I want to try it out.
Mhm.
I didn't have a Steam account at the time for a lot of reasons. I used to have one. It got hacked. Long ass story. I'm a stupid kid.
Yeah.
Balkans.
But and I decided. I saw it was on Steam. I saw it was $5, and I decided, okay, you know what? I'm gonna try the itch version.
Mhm.
I tried the itch version. I had a lot of fun with it for like 3 days, 4 days, and I decided, all right, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I might as well. I'm gonna treat myself. I was preparing to move out, move to university, go to Germany, whatever. Actually, no, this was no. Sorry, this was a year ago. So this was a year after I was already here. My bad. I got the timeline confused a little bit. And I decided, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna buy the game on Steam. I started playing the game on Steam, and I was hanging out on main court a little bit, playing a couple of games with randoms over there. And I happened upon Nilby in a voice chat of main court, and we started playing Pud Party. We play a shit ton of Pud Party.
Yeah.
And we like mesh. He was really like, we both thought the other guy was really funny. He was like, yo, you want to play Pud Party somewhere else? And he was like, yeah, I know cool people. And he invited me to Protocol. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know Protocol was a competitive tournament. And then I play a couple of games of Yomi with him, and I get washed because I didn't know how the game worked yet, right? I had a decent grasp on like basic concepts, but I wasn't good yet. I didn't know my combo routes. I didn't know anything. I get watched, and I'm like, holy shit, why are you so good? And he was like, I'm not even that good, dog. You got tournaments going on. You should join. And so I joined the very next one, Protocol 27, right before Olympus qualifiers started.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just like immediately fell in love with the game. The idea of playing it competitively, like the pressure, the fact that all of these people are trying to win or trying to do their best, right? I immediately like fell head over heels for that.
That's all it takes.
I just kept playing. I just kept playing and playing and playing every single tournament I could get my hands on from that point on. I didn't lab combos. I didn't go sit down and start labbing shit. To this day, I've maybe labbed combos like twice, 3 times.
Maybe something
just
if you find like stupid tech, you'll go in, you know.
Yeah. But that happened way later, right? That happened when I started, actually got a real grasp of the game and I started figuring out tech and shit like that. I met you. I talked to you. I remember one of our first interactions is after after the Invitational or around that time or something. I asked you for some replays. Or I remember playing against Royce the days before the Invitational happened and beating him once and being like, holy shit, dude. I might actually be getting better at the game. You put that in his fucking video too, right? Like in his whole video talking about Olympus, he's like, I lost to this bum ass dude named Eternum and fucking randomly. I just was like, okay, I gotta lock in. Which is so funny to me. Like that's when I started being a bigger part of a community. I started talking to people. I met a lot of people that a lot of really awesome people that really kept me here, right? I stayed here for the love of the game, but I also stayed here partially because of the community, partially because there's so many people that I've grown to be friends with now, right? And eventually one thing led to another, and I just kept playing. I think I've missed 2 protocols, 2 of them, since Protocol 27.
Oh, by the way, a side note from what you said earlier, you asked me for my replay of my game versus Lily at the time. I lost against,
I remember.
I lost against Lily, and you were like, and I think you were gonna play against her, and I was like, okay, but Lily plays like the most scuffed old-fashioned 0.7 cowboy, so good luck.
And I was like, yeah, shit, I'll take it.
And you want to know the funny thing? After I sent you the replay, we didn't speak for 3 months straight,
Ages.
or for 3 months straight. And the first thing you sent me are you dick consumer ...
Oh,
That's the,
what?
that's the next thing you sent me. That's the next thing that was sent in the DM.
No shot.
And then I respond, I'm a lot of things.
Holy fuck. Are we allowed to talk about this? Are we just gonna
I was gonna bring it up anyway, even if it's just like a short side note, because I was gonna talk.
This is perfect.
Because because the thing I was gonna talk about is like there's 3 points in my YOMI career that I feel like were like peaks of my that like pushed me forward, like that were like kind of like a rocket booster of like forward in like my progress. They're like the 3 that I would say is like the first one would be Royce. Like the first time I ever beat Royce, that was the first time in YOMI I'd ever popped off. I was sitting at my desk, I was leaning forward on my screen, and when I hit that last hit, I like jumped out of my chair. Like that was the first time I had made like an audible cheer beating someone, because Royce was my bracket demon at the time. I had never beaten Royce, maybe outside of like one pub. But like this is the first time I beat him in tournament. I was so proud of myself. Like I was so happy with myself that I beat Royce, because like he had been massacring me every time we fought in bracket. And the first time I actually got like a hold and actually like was able to like prioritize and like win, I was so excited. The latest one was the win against Blessed. Rest in peace, Blessedness. But that was another game I actually popped off for. It was the long game. It was the first game I played against where like it was a proper like passive play style.
The first time you played against Blessed, that man left an unfathomable mark on your psyche. I don't understand.
No, I will, every time you tell me that I play like too scared, I will always blame Bless for this. Every single time.
I remember
those two games that I played. Like, do you know how like traumatized I was after losing the game last game with like 10 frames left?
No, because I kept telling you, and I don't know if you remember this. I kept telling you that game against like those games against Bless specifically like were a turning point for your mind. Like I remember watching you play after that point and being like something changed fundamentally in her mind.
If you really want the game that changed my playstyle the most, and this is for the better, it is something that I've wanted to talk about for like years since like this even, or like for like 1.5 years or 2 years since this even happened, and it is the first Ocean game versus Alucard.
I remember like thinking
the one
back
on the
then.
YouTube video.
Yes.
Yeah.
That game, like I was like okay at the game at that point, but when I made Ocean because I was getting burnt out. Like Ocean was created because like I felt like I wasn't making any progress on my main. I felt like every time I felt like I was like I was placing okay, but I didn't feel like I was getting better. So I was like, I'm gonna do something stupid. I'm gonna find the weirdest, most random name, and I'm gonna make an alt, and I'm just gonna like enter a tournament. Like I'm just like whatever, you know. Like we're a small scene. Like it's not like smurfing is really real at this point. Like it's just like you make an alt. You're making an alt at that point just means you have to play an extra match because you're not seated as high. Like that's basically what it did at that point. But like that game, I didn't even pop off from that win. It wasn't because I wasn't excited. I was excited I beat Alucard. It's the first time I beat Alucard in a tournament, like in any sense. Or like just in general, I never really beat Alucard. Yeah. But like that game, like I feel like my love for Yomi like doubled or even like tripled after that. Because it was almost, I talked to Eternum about this briefly, like on and off, but it's like I didn't feel like I had like a story for myself. Right. Like if somebody asked me like what I thought my like my Yomi like story was, I wouldn't be able to tell you that before Ocean. And it kind of sucked because like it was a story I couldn't even tell. Like it was like at the time, Ocean was supposed to be a one-off thing. I was supposed to play one tournament and I was supposed to never use it again and go back to my main. It was just kind of supposed to be like a brain restart kind of thing. But then I won, and then I won again, and I won again, and then like people started talking about it, like, and it felt like I had actually had like a character for once in my life, like in Yomi, and like it's one of those things. Like I talked to him. I remember I reviewed this to like Alucard at one point that I was Ocean kind of thing, and we had a really good talk. we had a really good talk about like how Alucard, like he talked a lot about like he wasn't even really upset about it because like it showed to prove like how much mental is important in this game.
Right.
Like not just mental of like, you know, like motivation or anything. It's mental of like there's so many different aspects of mental. There's so many different things of like the person you're playing. Like
There's so
how does
much
your
mental.
how does your play style change when you're playing against someone you don't know as well? Or like, you know, like if how confident are you going into a match? Or like it could be a mental of like, you know, at the time Alucard didn't even know if he wanted to play Yomi, you know. So it's like how did this play differ when he's playing in kind of a state where he like he feels more washed, he didn't feel like he wanted to really like commit to Yomi at that point. Like I like it was kind of this cool thing of like Ocean and like the Ocean and Alucard kind of story, especially like in his video that he did. He like I feel like he really put a lot of emphasis on like it felt like he was like fighting like a demon almost. Like it felt like he was fighting like this kind of thing that like it kind of like it didn't open his eyes to like an improvement wise. It opened his eyes into like I understand my kind of relationship with Yomi better now. I understand like I understand like things are more clear to both. It wasn't just him, it was to me too. Me like not even Ocean, but me as like, you know, Mellow. Like I both me and him came out of that game understanding like this game like has so much more depth to it than people give it credit.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing of Ocean wouldn't have happened if Yomi wasn't such a mental based game. If Alucard just like if Alucard just played the way he normally played and didn't really think about it, he probably would have won, and none of this would have happened. And Ocean would have never been born, and I would have just went back to my main account after that. But it like it did. Like the mental took like the mental like was such a big decider in that
And the
one
fact that,
stupid match.
yeah, the fact of the matter is, it kept happening too. You
Yeah,
kept doing it,
it
winning
was
as Ocean.
it wasn't just this one off. It wasn't just like because you know you plenty of people that win tournaments and like oh you know maybe they just got lucky.
Yeah,
No, it just happened again and again.
it happened
And I
again
started
and
to
again and
realize
again.
like it's like people look at the bracket and they don't see Mellow anymore. They just see Ocean, and it's like they don't know who this person is. But now they like it's like they're afraid of him, but they don't know why they are.
Nobody
It's
did,
like,
right? Like
like
you kept doing it with Ocean, you kept doing it with Mile, and then you did it with Dick Consumer, right? It was so funny to me because when I joined the Cowboy server relatively late, right? And that's when I started encountering like the names that people considered good. That's when I started encountering like who is who are the best Cowboys? Who are the people who people remember,
yeah.
right? And the names that would come up were people like Vine Raya, people like Elucard, and then it was you, Ocean, and Mile.
Yeah. That's
Right?
so funny.
Which
That's
is
really funny.
hilarious. Like people would rank Ocean above you, right?
Yeah,
I remember like
because
I
I
played,
had never beaten Alucard before in tournament.
yeah, I played against you as Ocean in like a
Mhm.
pub.
Mhm.
And I remember seeing people talk about Ocean, and I was like, yeah, I played against them. And I remember people being like, holy shit, wait, what? They're back?
Yeah, they're back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Which is crazy. Like you and your alts have left such a massive impact on the game, and people didn't even realize it for the longest time. The people
Yeah.
who knew were a very, very select small
There
group.
are still people
And
that don't know.
I don't know.
Prob-
It's like
like
Galaxy doesn't know. Galaxy left the server. He doesn't know still.
the public doesn't know even.
yeah,
I mean,
Right, like,
kind
this
of.
is
Eternum said it in like general
like
and
it's
everything.
I have,
like it's
yeah, I did
slowly
actually kind of
spreading,
like
but it's
Slowly
not
mention
like
it, but I didn't
real.
elaborate on it.
Yeah.
It was when the bargain elo thing was happening, and I was like, what happens if yeah. Which I didn't
actually
really
something.
think about, right? I didn't
That-
really think about that because I thought you'd already like said something about it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then after I said it, I was
to
like,
us it
yeah.
feels like it's been real for like to us
No,
it feels like it
to
should be
me.
common knowledge by now.
I at one
but the
point.
thing is, to me, it was like the way I found out was the funniest thing, the funniest way it could have possibly happened.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was the Dick Consumer
I
Protocol.
don't know
And
this
at
one.
that point,
Tell me.
I was in the caster's box. I was talking to Turbo. It was like Turbo and Royce and Foolish were rotating in and out. And I remember either hearing something or like something about the gameplay ticked me off. I saw you parrying your own bullet after Rift, and I was like, hold on, right? Like, hold the fucking phone. And I already had like some suspicions after I watched the proto clip you posted. Because I'd run into an ocean video at another point in time. I think I mentioned this to you. And the editing styles like felt
like the
very
same.
similar. But I didn't really pick up on that. It was just like something I noticed in the back of my head, and it made me go like, where have I seen this before? But I didn't like think too hard on it. And then I asked you if you're a dick consumer, and you started responding very like secretively and very
I was
coyly.
like, I'm
and
a lot of
I
things.
kept pushing, right? I just kept pushing. And then and then Melody puts me in a group chat with like 5 different accounts. It was me, it was Melody, it was Ocean, it was Mile, it was Dick Consumer.
Yeah.
And
Oh, it's so
that's
funny.
do you have the screenshot still?
I think I've actually heard this story at some point.
I don't have
think
the
the whole
screenshot,
the
but
group
I don't have
chat.
the screenshots. But the group, it's still at the start of the group chat.
Yeah. And the funniest part about that whole thing is we for a long time after that, Mello and I didn't communicate in DMs. I just used
We
the group
communicated in the group chat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that became our group chat because we talked for so long after that reveal.
Yeah. We did that for so fucking long, but it was just the funniest way that could have possibly happened because once again, I remind you, I was still in the caster's box.
Yeah, you were still in the
Foolish
caster's box.
Roy and-
This was same with
Yeah.
Turbo, by the way. You got revealed a very similar way as Turbo, where I revealed
Right,
to him
like-
in the caster's box after a tournament.
Yeah.
No, the tournament was still going on though. Foolish, Royce, and Turbo were still casting.
It was still happening.
What was this
And I was
Protocol
just, like,
31?
flabbergasted. I was lost.
Was this
I don't
Protocol?
remember. I don't remember which one it was.
I think this might have been Protocol 31.
I don't remember.
Also,
exactly.
Because
Also,
that might have been the protocol where me and Eternum were dragged in.
Also,
I don't remember.
Also, two things. Also, two
It is.
things.
Yeah, that's the one
It
is?
where lyNAx beats Dick Consumer, where Turbo drags me and Eternum into the caster's box, and we just like cast for a bit, and then Foolish Royce come in, and we just like cycle around. So
Yeah.
I feel like this is a good transition because I want to finish off our arc.
Oh,
Right?
side note. By the
Your-
way. Side note before that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Fine.
okay.
Yeah.
Before that, by the way, it's kind of a funny thought, but if anyone that doesn't know about Ocean, if they want to figure it out, they have to watch this far into the podcast.
Yeah. Which is like at this point, like
You
an
know
hour
what?
and a half in.
This goes from like we're exposing it to the world like officially now to we're just continuing the agenda of like putting it out there in the least obvious way.
Only
Yeah.
the people that aren't TikTok brain will know the secret now.
Yeah, only the
It's-
people dedicated enough to listen to us yap about YOMI history for 3 years.
So still no one.
Pretty much no one.
Like
yeah.
literally no one
Yeah.
is gonna know
Maybe
after
someone.
we put this up.
Maybe someone. Hey,
Anyway.
if anyone's watching to this point in the video, just ping Ocean in Protocol General.
If anyone looks at the bargain doc and wonders why I've played 243 competitive games, now
Exactly.
you know why.
Now you know why.
You
As
know
I said,
why.
and remember this. I want everyone to remember this. If you've watched to this point in the video, go in. Don't change your name to Ocean.
I can't. No, it's been.
No,
it's
it's
been
been like
before
that.
recording.
It's been like
this
that.
before we started recording.
Really? What the fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been like that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I want everyone to go and ping Ocean. If
The
you're
real
listening.
Ocean, not Mellow called Ocean.
Yeah,
No,
not
the,
the
the
real
real
one.
one. I'm not gonna be checking that account for a while. so
Actually,
the real
Yeah,
one.
no.
actually, you should change your name to like Dick Consumer now. After
I mean,
this podcast.
did you know? I mean, I only think like people that like really knew them like better, like the old better, like knew this. But like my banner has been like the one that No Way drew for me, where it's just Ocean.
Yeah,
Dick
no,
Consumer,
I've
Mile.
noticed that. It's got the
little-
little
I-
styles of the rest of them.
I told No Way. No Way didn't even know about the Ocean thing. I just told him like, there's 3 cowboy
Oh.
styles. I want you to put below me as like plushies, and I
I-
just sent
Yeah.
them 3 pictures to him. and
I
he just
haven't
did it.
actually noticed that.
Yeah,
But-
that's
No,
their
I
thing.
know- I know.
I've seen it, and I was like, I don't know who these are.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
that was Protocol 31.
Which, okay,
want
there are,
so
there are a
that
couple
was
of things to mention about Protocol 31, right? First of all, it is worth mentioning and throwing lyNAx's name out there.
yeah.
Because to
Yeah.
this day, I hold the belief and the utmost faith that if lyRAX had like actually dedicated her
Tried.
time to this game, like locked the fuck in, she would have been
Yeah.
the greatest of all time, bar none.
That's what
No
I
shade
thought
to
too.
anyone
That's what
else.
I thought too.
I've told her this before, and that was like one of my main motivations while playing during that era. Like, because lyRAX and I met in Protocol Ranked, the shitty little bot that
Yeah,
Royce
yeah.
put in.
Yeah.
And we just kept playing because we played so similarly at the time. Like we just understood each other
Yeah.
for some reason. And just seeing someone improve right by me, playing the same character, playing the same way, but just different enough to make it interesting, to make it fun,
If
was
lyRAX
like
had if lyRAX
so
had the
cool.
motivation and like
She
the
would have
passion to
ironically
keep
been the
playing.
fucking god,
Yeah,
right?
no, I agree.
I personally didn't see it like at the time, but like I can absolutely see it like now. I just didn't play lyRAX enough, frankly. Like,
And also, lyRAX didn't really play like tournaments that consistently until like a tournament came in.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Okay.
Which, yeah, because like we were each other's motivators for a big part of that. I had 120 games against lyRAX. There are 120 replays in my replay folder, just of games against the lyRAX specifically.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's
huge. So hilarious.
We need to move on. We're pushing the time.
Protocol 31, right? Me and this is like Eternum said. We both had like wildly different stories, but wildly similar.
Yeah.
In like it's wildly different, but in parallel.
Yeah, in parallel. And in parallel, and the thing is, it we've seen each other a few times, right? Like in the months preceding Protocol 31.
But yeah, we'd run into each other on the ranked bot. We'd play games like on
like I caught him in BC a few times. A fun side note: I didn't want to mention that I was Serbian for a bit because I didn't know how deep it was for him yet.
Yeah.
Which is really funny to me, honestly.
When he said he's in Berlin, I'm like, okay, he's also an SKP.
And
SKP is insane, by the way.
Wow.
Anyway, Protocol 31 is where it really happens. Turbo's streaming. Eternum is like, get me on the stream. And I'm like, if you're putting this fraud on the stream, I deserve to be there too.
Okay.
and that's where it starts.
Wow.
And me and Eternum are in there, right? We're casting, we're having a good time. And Turbo and Delta are also in the call. And these words might have like actually, right? Going back to my story, this is the next set of important people to my story, where Turbo said two very specific words: potential man.
He called you YOMI Hustle potential man. He called lyNAx potential man of YOMI Hustle.
Potential man. And we go into Protocol 30. No, the bet was later.
I'm pretty sure the bet was on that tournament.
No, it was on Protocol 33. It was right like during. During 30, yeah. Set the bet, but on 31,
yes.
Turbo calls me potential man. 1 and 2. Royce later pulls up and says lyNAx is going to be great.
You're going to go far.
Like Royce now pulls up and says you have potential. And right, and that's like, and right, like that's it. We go into Protocol 32, and me and Eternum on a crash course for each other.
Yeah,
like it was destined. And like it was during like probably a slightly darker age in the community, like slightly less activity, but genuinely that like from my perspective and my biased perspective, is like one of the protocol highlights.
It was really funny. Like the storyline, that's where the storyline started, right? And that storyline is one of the longest going like rivalries in like competitive Yomi to this day.
3-0 in
It
bracket.
it is okay, so what? You
Run it right now.
know, you know
1.8.23. 1.8.23. Let's go.
you run it, bitch.
What?
That's your patch, and I'll
That's the
still
next.
beat you, by
No,
the way.
that's the next one in line. That's the next one on the list. We didn't do that one yet.
Do we even have the
your patch, and I'll
runtime
still
for? Do we
beat
even
you,
have the
by the way.
runtime for this?
No, we're not.
We're just
not doing
talking.
that.
I was gonna say.
But like, right? I want
If you're
you. I
like,
want
if you have shit
Eternum
to do.
to. I want Eternum to give his thoughts on this question, but Mello gave us her like most important Yomi game ever. That was probably the most important, right? Like I've had better games, more like tighter games that I've played like so extremely well that I'm so proud of. But this is the one that I will forever remember, like to my dying breath.
Beating me in finals of Protocol 32.
Grand finals of Protocol 32, because it was right. Like I've said my part. I want you to give your perspective. Eternum,
on Protocol 32, or what my most notable, most important game was.
Well, first, what your most important game was.
I think because that's a very difficult question to answer.
Yeah, there's so many,
right?
Like, is there one that stands out? Right, because I know your burst victory was like anticlimactic, so I don't know how you feel about that.
It was anticlimactic for me, I would say, because
exactly. I know it was anticlimactic for you. It wasn't for like others.
The whole situation, I was really excited for. Like the issue I've had with Yomi, not necessarily an issue. I still love the game, but my problem with it and my like motivation issue, right, has been that ever since that point. So because after Burst and before Burst 1, you took a break for a while.
Yeah.
You, Melody, weren't really playing as much.
No.
Yeah. And lyNAx was also like not even inconsistent, but after her win, she just kind of like not necessarily dipped, but she was playing very, very rarely.
Yeah.
And so after that point, basically like after Protocol 32, 33, even despite like the rivalry that I had with lyNAx that did motivate me, after you kind of retired, I didn't really have much pushing me, especially during Burst.
Yeah.
And so when Burst happened, I was just kind of going through the motions for most of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's
and then I just kind of like, right. Then I just kind of like woke up. I was in winners finals against Zeta. Like it was just like a moment of like waking up from a slumber, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, wait a second. Like this is happening, right?
Is this the one
I
where
just
I lost
decided,
Zeta,
correct.
and then
Sorry?
Is this the one where I lost against Zeta, and then you played against him after?
Maybe.
Maybe. Go and check Burst 1. But I vividly remember like sending the challenge or getting the challenge or whichever one, and I was like, okay, this is happening. Hold on.
Yeah.
I just like sat forward in my shitty little setup, if anyone remembers, on the kitchen of my apartment with like all of my housemates running around and like cooking dinner and shit. And I was just like, wait a second. Wait, this is happening. I can do this. And then the game ended. I perfected Zetabots.
Yeah.
A person who is like considered to be one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, like, wait, like,
damn, I'm the best right now.
It might be real, right? Like this might be real. I loved the game. I loved improving. I loved getting better. I loved playing against people who challenged me, right? And up to that point, and I'd had this discussion with lyNAx a few times, it didn't feel like we'd ever gotten a chance to actually prove ourselves.
Yeah.
Because after Olympus, a lot of the people who were considered the top of the top, right? The best in the game by far, they quit. They stopped playing. They weren't really around anymore. They weren't competing. They weren't. The entire scene was new. Almost the entire scene was new.
Yeah,
there were still like
you had to prove yourself by consistency. It's like there was no Alucard or Hunters or anyone. That
yeah,
there was
no one. Yeah, there was no. We were proving ourselves against each other, but every time we'd have this like moment of uncertainty and think to ourselves, yeah, like we know we're good at the game, but are we really?
Yeah.
Like, are we really?
Yeah, exactly.
And I've like this is a conversation I've had with lyNAx so many times of like at that like around that time period of like, are we really at that level yet? Are we really like that good at the game? Can we really consider ourselves to be like part of that?
Can we consider ourselves to be good if everyone that like used to be considered, like if you beat them, be considered good, are gone now?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And that came like that moment was justified for me in two separate cases. The first one was Burst, because both like that entire tournament was, looking back, I didn't play that well, at least for my standards now. But that entire tournament was like a dominating performance.
Yeah.
It didn't look like anyone stood a chance. The person who got the closest was Jackin in one of the matches, and then he got fucking impaled in Step Ogi.
Yeah.
And then it was Zeta in grand finals.
Yeah.
But even then, I was winning that game the entire way through, and then I went for a drift stinger because I thought it was really fucking funny, and then I got stuck in corner. Which is the robot method, right?
Yeah.
I got bounce checked. I got stuck in corner. I had to go through the whole thing. I mind gamed him trying to read my burst, and I got the conch berry and won the game. Like, that was it. I remember that sequence like vividly. Right? And at that moment, I did pop off. I'm not gonna lie, like I popped off because for the first time, I felt like I was actually proving myself. Like,
that's the most excited I've ever heard you sound. like a tournament win. I remember hearing you.
I think I was in VC. It was Mario, it was Turbo, and you were hopping in and out. I remember this. And I was so excited because I finally felt like I had actually proven kind of who I am in this community, right? Like, I'd proven that I'm good at the game. I'd proven that I can win, that I can compete at a top level. And from that point on, I've been like the most consistent player in history. I have top 8'd every single one of my last 20 tournaments, right? And that was the first moment where I came to terms with the fact that, okay, I might actually be good at the game. And the second one was, funnily enough, the first reset. Because I went in that tournament partially as a joke, right? Because, hey, shit, why not, right?
Why not?
It's like
why not? It's a new one. It was newer at the time. You might as well try it out.
It's quirky.
It was like a masquerade, basically. Right, everyone you could know, and a lot of people you could like easily recognize, and I didn't really hide that I was phased. I kept the ruse going afterwards by forcing lyNAx
as a joke,
it was just for the shits and giggles. At that point, I wasn't trying to hide anything. I was like hitting fresh milk on people and shit, right? But I think that tournament is, funnily enough, the most in form I've ever been. And I kept playing and I kept playing and I kept playing. And I kept having so much fun with it. I didn't have the burden of... So before, if in Burst, I had like cemented myself as a part of that community. With the phase account, I felt kind of like freed from that burden.
That was Ocean for me.
Yeah. I felt like I could just do whatever. I could just play the game and not have to worry about performance. I don't have to worry about how I play, what I do, who I'm fighting. I could just play the game and be free from that. And I did. And that tournament will never have a winner.
Never.
Never will people even know who you played in Grands. So,
but that game, which I won't say who it was, right? I'm not gonna say who it was, but that game is the second time I looked at myself and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. I
I've gotten to this point, right?
Yeah. And it's crazy because I feel like a similar way about right, I absolutely agree that for us, for our generation, all of the people that we looked up to, all of the people that we took inspiration from, that we saw, were gone. Even the most recent ones, right? Like Royce just won Olympus. He was gonna be the Bastion, right? He was gonna be the player to beat, and then he just he played a bit and then slowly phased himself out of tournaments. So, right, for me, it was the sequence of protocols 32 and 33, which were so that was such a surreal point in my life because
no, absolutely. It was for me too, but the events in general, like Protocol 32 and 33, were a big part of the way I see the community and my presence in it. But for me specifically, personally, what affected me more is why I bring those two cities.
No, of course, but of course for you, but imagine if that's how you felt about 32 and 33.
Yeah, imagine how you must feel.
I was called potential man by Turbo Rada. I was told by Royce that I had potential to be the best in the world. I go into the next tournament expecting nothing new particularly. My only real top 8 to this point was Protocol 30, and I finished 7th. I got killed by Vine instantly.
Yeah.
Right. I go in, and Protocol 31, I got knocked out early because I wasn't locked in, and then I was on commentary, and then all that stuff happened. I go into Protocol 32, and me and Eternum gunned for winners finals. Winners finals happens. That was a cage match. It's dumb, but it happened.
I hated that, by the way. I'm just gonna let you know.
We blame Turbo, we blame Turbo for one, but I feel, I would hope that you can agree with me that I would have probably ended up the winner of that tournament anyway.
We don't know that. I'm gonna be so real.
No, we don't know that. We don't know that, of course, but I would.
Because I feel like at the time there wasn't that big of a difference between. The script was in his favor, and I'll just take it. I'll take it like a man, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh well, whatever. That doesn't count. Oh, it counts. You won that fair and square.
Yeah.
I got fucking cheated. I got fucking bombed out of that one.
That was in grand finals, right? This is the most bar none impactful game to me. I have had no expectations for myself. I was sure I was going to play this game until I was the best player on the surface of the earth. And I was expecting to be here for years until I could do that.
Yeah.
And I show up, and it's the Cinderella run that just never stopped. And I get to grand finals, and it's such a poetic ending. It's such a perfect sequence to end it on. It is the bounce check into key punch into KP for the kill confirm, and it was and the only reason why that sequence worked was because of the effort that I put that sequence was the culmination of everything that I have done. After the game, I look at the VOD. The reason why I won that game, I had a combo on Eternum. I used Overflow, which was extremely I was the first one that incorporated Overflow into combos. Right? Because now it's no longer a true grab, but it's 10 frames, right? I lab it. I lab the frame advantage. I lab the routing. After I look at the stream, Turbo says that's a DI read. I knew it wasn't. I was the only person in the world that really knew this. And because I had that extra bit of corner carry, later when I got the bounce check, because I was closer to the wall, Eternum was launched higher up the wall, which meant I had the guaranteed key punch into KP. Right? That is the sole reason.
That's the kind of shit that makes a man want to kill himself, frankly speaking.
For you, but this is the labbing that I've been doing for so long. This is many hours that I have been putting into just like playing the game and improving. Right, being able to find
the stars
things
align
on the
for you.
It's the stars align, and
the music cut out. Everyone's watching.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm just this is it, and I lock in the KP, and this is it, and I put the GG in chat, and this is it, and it's lyNAx wins on the screen. That was so surreal. That is I'm never gonna have an experience like that in my life again.
I can feel it, yeah.
Because it's such a culmination of all the effort, all the practice, and all of the faith that everyone in the community had for me.
It was a golden moment.
It was a golden moment.
Everyone has their moment, but that was your moment.
And then beyond that, right, like Protocol 33, right, like did either of you watch the There Will Never Ever Be Another Melee Player Like Hungrybox?
Yeah, the implement one.
It's the quote where HBox wins the big house, beats Plup.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and says, when you had everything you've ever wanted, and now what?
Now what?
It's not the sense that I felt like I didn't know where to keep going. It was more so like the feeling that I know Hungrybox had in that moment. I didn't feel like I was the best in the world yet. I felt like this very well could have been a one-off, right? It could have been a fluke bracket. Hell, my grand finals opponent was Eternum, right? Like this was not gonna have legitimacy.
Anyone that was considered a top player was gonna be like, I don't know about this.
At that point in time, an Eternum win was not legitimate, sadly. Like, in hindsight, it absolutely was, but like at that point. And I go into the next tournament beating Octo. Nil was less important, but Octo, Nil, Lily in my top 8, which it wasn't even Lily, it was you, Mello.
It was me, yeah.
Yeah, it's right, but like that's
you got your chance against some of the
and I made it right, like it's not even that I got my chance, it's my entire run was older ones, and I was so dominant. Right, like this is where it's no longer. It was a like I'm a good player, but that's where it's. I'm the objective best player in the world right now. No one can take it from me. I have beaten both the new and the best that the new and the old have to offer.
Right.
Yeah. Like that's.
It
feels
good.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that keeps you going.
And on closing notes, I just want to end it on this. Anyone watching this, if you love this game,
are we calling it here?
If you, we're gonna.
We definitely should.
We're approaching like hour 50. But like if you love the game, if you love competing, don't give up. Just keep practicing.
Never give up.
Never give up.
Never give up.
But
Just
seriously,
do it.
it's an
That's
incredible experience. It's incredible improving at this game.
When you
And
have your golden
believe
moment,
me,
like
if
I love it.
even if it doesn't feel like you're making progress, even if it feels like you're not gonna make it, trust all of us can agree on this. Trust us. If you put in the work, trust the shadow government. We're gonna give you a
Trust
shot.
the shadow government.
True.
If you keep
Do
working,
not
if you
try
keep
to
working,
retrieve your right to work.
You'll get it.
Do not try to seize the means of production. We'll figure it out.
if you keep practicing, your day will come. You will, if you keep working, if you really want it. And there are new players that are showing this again and again. Players that have, right, like me and Eternum went through the process like so fast. I was probably the one that went through it the fastest, right? But like their player, if you feel like you've been here for so long and you still haven't accomplished anything, look at Oreo and Oet. They're
forever.
Yeah, like on the invitational patch, they were the best players in the world. They were a step above.
Yeah.
And they have existed.
It took them a long time.
It took them a very, very long time.
And that's not a roast. That's not like an insult or anything. That just means they've stuck here. They've stuck with what they know for so long until it worked.
Yeah.
Like it took a long time, but they got there.
Just like with everything else, getting good at YOMI takes effort. Everyone knows that. It takes a lot of patience with the game and with yourself. It takes so much labbing. It takes so much time. But if this community feels worth it to you, if the competitive scene feels worth it to you, if you enjoy it, if you have fun, if playing for keeps, playing to win is the way you enjoy the game, then it is absolutely worth the effort. And it's been shown time and time again by so many people, by people like Eligard, by people like Melody, by people like Lisa, Royce, us, right?
There's
at some point
nothing else like it.
At some point, it is going to feel disheartening. At some point, it is going to feel like you're going nowhere, like you've hit a plateau.
Take it from the person who's played 260 games.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, all of that effort, all of that time spent does amount to something. And even if you don't end up winning a tournament, even if you don't end up cementing yourself as one of the greats, if that time spent was fun, if you enjoyed it, if it was, in hindsight, a worthy effort, and that's all you need, really.
Yeah.
As long as you have fun, and that's what this is, right? We find our own way to make fun, to make this game fun, to make anything fun, really. And if you can find it, if the competitive scene is that for you, like it is for me, like it is for lyNAx, and like it is for so many other people, it's always worth the effort.
It's always worth it. Just, we'll end it on that note. Mello, thank you for coming out.
There's actually one more question I wanted to ask because we were talking about the history. It's a short one. I promise. I promise it's a short one.
What's up?
Don't worry about it.
It's like an ending.
It's fine. It's fine.
But we've been talking about like history and everything, and I actually wanted to leave this off with is there we talked a lot about like passing on towards like going on to different generations. Is there any like single player that you guys like maybe hasn't really like gotten their name out yet as much as it should that you think would could be some top player potential in the next couple tournaments?
Okay, me and Eternum know one. Do I tell this story?
Talking about
I have two in my mind.
Okay,
I have two in my mind.
Tell us your two. Let's start with that.
I swear it's not biased. It's two Cowboys.
Okay,
but
go ahead.
One of them I've told this to, the other one I have not. But there's two Cowboys that like I have been like watching for like a long time.
One of them is I've been watching, right?
Yes, one of them is Cody. And the other one is 10TD.
Yeah, 10TD. Okay, 10TD I know less. But Yeah, no,
They've
I
been
can
around
see that.
for a while.
I can see that.
I've
But-
looked at their start GG results, and they seem like there's like they have the same. I think I like it because it reminds me of me, where like they have the consistency they have is like.
Mhm.
It's like that kind of point where I was, where like I didn't really have like that like drive until I beat Royce for the first time, where it's like they just need to
Right.
have that, like it's like what lyNAx is talking about that entire time, like they need to just have their golden tournament. Like
They
for,
haven't
for
gotten
both
that
for,
yet,
for
right?
both for both Kodamine and 10TD, I feel like both of them just need their like golden moment where like they get a tournament where that's really stacked and they play like they play. Like they've been playing consistently in like the current like era, but if they ever get like a protocol or something that's like has like all like a bunch of big names in it that are coming back, I think that like
Right.
both Kodamine and 10TD, I feel like if they get those moments, that they could be like very top 8 player like potential.
Okay.
I want to hear your guys'. I want to hear
Okay.
like your guys'
The-
classic one.
Go ahead.
You
Why
agree
not?
with me on this one, right? Like you're the one
I
that I'm
see the
about to
view.
say. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I see the view.
Okay. Once upon a time, there was a player called Jade Plebism that
Oh.
made a robot video that I watched, and I started playing Yomi off of that. I win my Protocol 32, and and paying respect to the person that basically got me into the game, I make a very similar video. Right, I won Protocol on robot. Many moons pass, and one player happens to find the video that I made, watches it, gets into competitive Yomi. I find him in a lobby, randomly play him, and my first thought is this guy is like can actually be a top player.
No, I'm really curious.
Like I haven't seen him at all, like anywhere, and I go like pubbing in Unstable for the first time in eons. I don't do this anymore, and I play this random no name. He plays Mutant, and he plays Mutant well. And I ask, how many hours do you have? And he's like 50, and in that moment, I realize this person reminds me of myself. This is my goat, Grack Knight.
Oh yeah.
This is my goat, Grack Knight. My goat, Grack Knight, is not gonna see this video because he's not even on the Discord.
Yeah, that's true.
It's my goat, Grack Knight. Like he has what it takes because he is dedicated to, right, like he wants to get good. He wants to get good, and he's very flexible, right? Like similarly to me and Eternum, while he lacks knowledge now, he is able to, right, like when I see Grack, right, like Grack seeks out good matches. Grack played Eternum.
Yeah,
right.
I've seen him like
this is
buttons, like see things that I would expect from very few people, right?
Yeah.
Like
Like
I've
the
seen-
example
I've
I
seen
was gonna
good
say was
options, but
the
I-
example I was gonna say is like in the corner, there's a foresight on him, and he goes for pounds to beat grab and rift.
Wow.
Right,
Yeah,
like
it was
like
drift
someone
grab. It was
with
drift
no
grab.
time in the game.
It was drift grab. It wasn't like grab.
Yeah, drift grab.
Yeah.
Sorry, drift
Drift
grab. Drift grab with a rift on him, and he is able
Crazy.
to find a pounds.
Which is heat.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Right, like that's the thing that you see.
That I expect from very few people when like it's the ability to check options and be able to notice threats is something that a lot of people lack.
Yeah,
And it is really shocking, really surprising, really cool to see it in like a new player.
exactly.
All that build up, and I thought you guys were gonna say Pete.
No.
No,
For me,
Pete is
I
Pete.
think-
No, I've played Pete at bracket. Pete is. I'm not gonna comment. Pete is okay.
No comment.
He gets some results, but like all I'm gonna say is the first time I played him, he mashed slop dash. Not even wave dash, but like just staying in the air, straight forward, every single time, like so predictably that like at one point I was just like, I just mashed Skull Shaker and win.
Oh, okay.
And then I mashed Skull Shaker and won.
Oh no.
I think personally, I also have two people in mind when you ask that question, and once again, they are indeed both cowboys. One of them is like half cowboy. The two people. One of them is half cowboy, but it is still two cowboys.
Yeah.
The two people that come to mind when I think of people who could like make a name for themselves, who could do well in tournament and genuinely perform, are Glopsy and Hop. Glopsy, I think.
Who? Sorry, you cut out. Who's the second?
Glopsy and Holly.
Holly,
okay.
yeah. Me too.
Holly,
me too. I also agree with that one.
Yeah.
I think both of them genuinely like are very good at the game already. And they just haven't had the chance or the time to dedicate to like properly make a name for themselves, because Glopsy has been consistent, very consistently.
Glopsy's always been good. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, Glopsy has been very consistently good for a long time now, before I even started playing, I think. And he hasn't managed to break through very often to that like top tier, to like a top 8 or something like that. But he has like I've run into him in brackets sometimes, and every single time I'm like mildly concerned, because I know that this person is good. He plays the game very patiently. He's very careful. Sometimes he does miss options. That's just because he's not putting as much effort into the game in general. He plays like very, 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 very solid Yomi, right?
Okay.
And Holly is just really fucking good at the game.
Yeah, Holly is good.
We've watched her be very good at the game for multiple tournaments. She does have a couple of top 8s to her name, right?
Holly actually beat me in bracket. When like I went right before I decided I'm not in the mood to play the video game, I'm gonna take a break. Right, like the last protocol that I played, that made me decide that was I was playing Holly and I was just like so out of it. Right, like I was dominating most of the game, and then I just
Holly locked in when you locked out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like Holly is good, right?
Yeah, no,
but,
Holly.
Yeah.
I definitely.
Every time I watch them play, it's really like pleasantly surprising, because she's genuinely like really good at the game, and like these are people that it feels like are in the same situation that I was in for a long time, where they're definitely good enough to break through that level, but they just haven't yet because of a multitude of reasons. Maybe a lack of motivation, a lack of time, other like priorities and stuff. That's perfectly understandable. But I genuinely believe that like Glopsy and Holly, if they like had the time and put in the effort, they would genuinely like break through.
Yeah. Like I can see all of the people named here like able to become top players. Like I can absolutely list more people, but the reason why I listed like specifically Graknight is because I see him and I don't feel like he could be a top player. I feel like he's destined to be a top player.
This is his destiny. Yeah.
Like if not, like not because he watched the video, which is funny in itself, but more like just the way he plays is shows such an understanding of like what anyone else that doesn't make it doesn't have, and the things that like me and Eternum do have that brought us this far.
Well,
yeah.
Well, you heard us, Graknight, Holly, Glopsy, Kodamine, and 10TD. If you listen to this, you better lock in. You better lock in.
Grak,
you five better lock in.
Grak doesn't use Discord at all, by the way. He's
when ranked drops, you motherfuckers better be there.
Yeah, I was gonna say you five, or at least four, unless Graknight shows up, you guys better lock in.
Like, I have not had a new player inspire me ever, other than Graknight. I'm gonna be, and we need more. We need more people that show up we look at and we're like, this person has potential, because we lack that right now.
Yeah, look where Eternum is now.
I'm gonna start making videos. I will blackmail Melody into editing them for me.
I wanted to like start making my own like gameplay analysis.
Yeah,
and then I'll just like bring in a new age of cowboy. I'll just like coach a whole cohort of little cowboy
That's
players.
crazy. You're gonna make them buy the Metafy too.
Nah.
Yeah, the free
Never mind.
Metafy.
Actually, no. Everyone listening to this, go and buy my Metafy right now. It's free.
Right now,
It's not
buy the Metafy. Okay.
Melody, if you look up metafy.gg/@Eternum or whatever
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen the
it's
All
a
right,
fucking Iron Man
let's
Infinite video.
Wrap it up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for having us on in the background.
Yeah.
Just
It's wow, holy shit.
we love the game, and we want you to keep loving the game too.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening.
Don't let this game die on us.
Don't let the game die.
It won't.
It won't. It will.
Hey.
Yomi will. Even if like people play the game less,
Hey,
it always.
if you're listening to this,
when Olympus
like,
2 happens in 3 years.
Whoever is listening to this, no matter how good you are, no matter if you're established or not, no matter if people think you have potential or not, show up, win.
Show up.
We want to see people do amazing things in this game.
Yeah.
And whatever Turbo says about you on stream, ignore it, mute the stream, just do your thing, play the game.
Doesn't matter.
Listen to me exclusively. I say you have potential.
Don't listen to lyNAx exclusively, but understandable.
Understandable. Yes.
Remember that it's all for content. Trash talk is always for fun. If it bothers you, tell people. And then just call it a day. Mute chat, lock the fuck in, play the game, have fun.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. Wrap it up.
Cool.
My name is lyNAx. It's Eternum. It's Mello.
Hello.
Thank you for coming,
Bye-bye.
Mello. We're gonna be back on schedule from now. We just had some scheduling conflicts.
I hope.
We will be back on Monday. Thank you for listening.